electric current. And a lot of things are similar in this chapter with grade 10 that you studied. Now, when we were at electrostatics, the thing was charges were at rest. Charges did not move. The charges were at rest. Okay. Now, when it comes here charges will be in motion, and this motion will be non-accelerated. As a result, they will move with a uniform velocity and give rise to something. Uniform velocity means, if you think about a cross section, this is a cross section of a conductor, and say there is a time t elapsed, and if you are having uniform velocity, then you will have equal count of charges that will flow past. No matter whatever is the time, equal amount of current charges that will flow past, and this will give rise to something which is known as a steady current. Our study will be more in terms of steady current. Steady current means that in 1 second, if say 5 coulombs are passing through, in the next 1 second also 5 coulombs will pass through, in the next 1 second also 5 coulombs will pass through, because it is moving with a uniform velocity. So a very nice analogy that they draw up is lightning versus electric current. So electric current. So what is the difference between lightning and electric current? Lightning also, what will happen, that there will be charged clouds, and say suppose you have a conducting surface. Okay, we have a conducting surface. There will be a flow of charge, but this flow of charge you cannot predict. It will be a sudden flow of charge, non-uniform rate of flow of charge. So you might get a current which is not steady, and this current will be very short-lived. Till the time the charges have flown, you actually get a current, but the current does not continue. That is the main problem. The current does not continue. There will be a huge gush of charge which will actually flow from the clouds to one portion, but there won't be any sort of uniformity that you will see in the rate of flow of charge. There won't be any uniformity in the rate of flow of charge. As a result, the concept of steady current is broken. Have you understood? So start mapping it now. So as we start learning this chapter, we would think about a conductor which is like a plain wire, and you expect current to pass through it. And the current should not be erratic. It should be steady. Means your idea should be that whatever is the charge carrier in that conductor, that has to be kept on moving, and that movement has to be gradual, steady, within the same time interval. Let's put that analogy something like this. So it's like you create a ladder, and in that ladder you make the child sit, and the movement should be absolutely, first child goes, the second child goes. You cannot do any sort of imbalance in the slope of this particular ladder, sliding ladder. So the children who will be going, they will be going at a steady rate. Have you seen what happens when a nursery teacher is sitting and she's putting one kid after the other? The kids are going at a steady rate. You also want that. But in between two children, if you do a little bit of imbalance of this particular slope, you don't expect the children to be sliding at steady rate. Now merge this concept that if you want a steady flow of charge, what you have to maintain is a steady potential difference. Then only the charges will be going at a steady rate. That's what the chapter will be targeting at. And who is going to, why can't we use the enormous amount of energy that we are getting from lightning? First of all, you don't know, you can't predict. Second, when it comes, it has just come, crashed and killed you. You can't make it flow. Whereas a small 1.5 volt cell that you're putting in that watch is able to make the watch run without any intervention from your side. So what was the job of that 1.5 volt cell? To maintain a steady potential difference between the two ends of the conductor, so that when the positive charges got repelled from the positive side, right, they went on this side, they come on this side, and then you need the positive charges to jump across. That jump across will be done by a potential difference. Now just try and try to see the analogy out here. Okay, let's say we'll study the chapter a little bit in a time. Let's say this is my conductor, right? This is my conductor, and I have a cell out here. Now, since you have come from grade 10 onwards, you know that if this is a metallic conductor, then in a metallic conductor, what constitutes for the flow of charges? The free electrons, right? So free electrons. So if we see an atom can have two types of electrons. You can have free electrons and you can have bound electrons. Agreed? The free electrons, once they get free, so they will definitely leave a positive ion and there will be a free electrons. What is this positive ion? The nucleus, the protons, and the bound electrons. Overall, this has got a positive charge, and the free electrons are there, right? These free electrons can move, but these people are having a fixed position, right? Let's understand the idea. The free electrons keep on colliding with these. Suppose I have not produced any, so I have not connected any battery to it, and my conductor is standalone. This is my standalone conductor. This is my standalone conductor. Free electrons are there? Yes, sir, free electrons are there. What do? Sir, they are chapris. They keep on moving randomly. In this random movement, what they are doing? Sir, in this random movement, they are continuously hitting what? The positive ions. As a result, the net average motion is zero. You move this side, this fellow move this side. It's like all people in a hall exchanging greetings over a glass of drink in a party. Are people not moving? Yes. Our friend Arjun just went to take some snacks. By that time, this girl has thrown her tissue paper and got that side. Their movement. Do you see any people getting out of the banquet hall? No. So what is the average motion inside the banquet hall? Zero. Are the people not moving? Yes, they are. Oh, how are you doing? Just like that concept. So even if the free electrons will be getting, this free electron will get attracted to that positive ion, knock it, come down, and as a result, the average motion will always be equal to zero. So will there be any electric field setup? We have studied. No, the electric field setup will be zero. There is no electric field setup. Do you expect any current in this? Initially, there will be some current till they move, but overall, you will find that the current has diminished. There is no more current. Okay, sir, leave the conductor and bring someone who is an insulator. Sir, I have brought an insulator. This is my insulator. Our insulator is such an unlucky fellow. He does not have any free electrons at all. In his case, the mother is so strict that every electron is a bound electron. So here we don't expect any sort of current flow to happen, right? Even if you, so what happens actually, if you connect anything, so mind you, there are two things. You studied that the electric field inside a conductor is always zero. Now don't confuse that. That was in electrostatics. But when you give an external stimulus through a battery, then you will be setting up an electric field in this conductor. Electric field inside a conductor is zero when you are in electrostatics. Charges don't move. But here charges are moving. Now just see. If you give an electric field, external electric field, then there will be a force which will be set up. This force will be nothing but Q multiplied by E, where Q is the charge. So all the Q's will sense this force. All the Q's will be sensing the force in one direction. Do you expect movement in these Q's? Yes. That's why a conductor conducts. But this bad luck fellow does not have a Q at all. So even if you apply E, force is not being felt. Because to feel the force, there has to be a Q. Does this now clarify you why a conductor conducts and an insulator does not conduct? Is this understood? First thing we should know, why does a conductor conduct? Why does an insulator does not conduct? Our discussion in conductors here is always limited to the metals. And the metals have got a Q. Q can have different forms. A proton can be a Q, an ion can be a Q, an alpha particle can be a Q, a beta particle can be a Q, But children, since we are in conductors and we are dealing metals, our Qs will be the electrons. Have you understood? So now comes says, sir, are your electrons free to move? I said, yes. In my conductors, my electrons are free to move. That means, sir, if I give a force which is impacted on them, can I expect a motion in your electrons? Yes, they're free to move. I'm going to pull you now with a rope and you're free to move, though I'll see a motion in you. But if this girl is hell-bent on sitting, no matter how much I pull her up, will she move? She will not move. That's the case of an insulator. No matter how much electric field you give, the force will always be felt by a free electron. No one is free out here. So an insulator does not conduct. Is this story clear? If this story is clear, let us understand the next part of the story. That, sir, don't give any external electric field to the conductor. Just take the conductor. Like that Bryan Adams song. Take me as I am. Just take me as I am. Do I have free electrons? Yes. Should I not be attracted to the positive ions? Yes. So the positive ions are all scattered over. What makes me only love this positive ion? I can't be stepmotherly. It will go and hit anywhere. So as this one goes and picks up snacks from here, this one might pick up snacks from there. So many tables around. So overall, there is a net motion which is getting cancelled. So the average motion is 0. And initially, when there were a little bit of random motion, I saw some bit of current because there was some motion. But overall, the current diminished because the average motion is 0. Understood? So the current has diminished. I do not see any sort of electric field out here because the internal electric field has now died down. Okay? Now say suppose you give an electric field, right? Now suppose we have given an external electric field. If you give an external electric field, then a force is born. And that force is given by QE. Achha, now go to, although Newtonian mechanics is not applicable here, but try to think. If there is a net force, there has to be acceleration. That's what Newton's law tells us. If there is a net force, there has to be an acceleration. Do you agree? So that's why when the Titanic sank and the Titanic then broke up at the middle, and after that the two parts separated. The Atlantic is 11.2 kilometers deep. The Titanic just took 4 minutes to go to the bed, because once it is detached, now what is acting on it? The weight is acting on it. The weight is a net force. Force equal to mass into acceleration. Now the Titanic will go with an accelerated motion. It will go faster. It won't go uniform. So this force is going to introduce a bit of acceleration. But we said in this chapter that there is no acceleration, because if charges are accelerated, you create waves, which will be in the next chapter. Here the charges will be moving in uniform velocity. So there is a force. The force will accelerate these charges. During their acceleration, they will do two movements. One is that they will see the positive ions still exist. That collision you cannot prevent. So there will be a random collision. This is known as my random collision. And there will also be what is known as the steady flow. Collide, collide, steady flow. Collide, collide, steady flow. Are you understanding? End of the day, how do you see? Start from a high building view and you see a big crowd. A big crowd. Just like how we behave in India in crowd. And we are trying to enter a stadium on a cricket match day. There will be a little bit of collisions. But end of the day, the entire crowd is moving towards the check-in gate. If you combine these two, in the language of English and current, we say this is called a drift speed or a drift velocity. You're drifting slowly. And this is an average speed, which is constant. This does not have an acceleration. So you're drifting. Electrons drift and they will pick up what is known as drift speed. This drift speed will be responsible for that particular current to flow. See, in grade 10, it was very easy for us to understand that if I do this, right? And if I look from the perspective of positive, this is negative, then Q is always a positive charge. the positive charge moves from this side, goes this side, the positive charge goes this side, and then it flows past that cross section in a time interval t, and you define I is equal to Q over T. This is what was your grade 10 concept. And then the positive charge comes here, the positive charge comes here. Obviously, the negative is going to attract the positive, but there has to be something which makes him leave the negative and again come back here. This is the potential difference. This is the potential difference. Have you understood? The potential difference will always make the charge to flow on this side. Now here where is the contradiction happens. This is the higher potential side. This is the lower potential side. So actually the movement does not happen with any positive charge, because since this is what you call a metallic conductor, the movement is all about electrons. So how does the electrons move? The electron is moving this side, this side, this side, this side, this side. All the electrons are moving this side. The electron comes out on this side, comes out here, faces a higher potential. Higher potential to lower potential, charge will always move. So the electron then starts moving. If this potential difference was not maintained, your electron will not come here. It loves to stick to this. That is the role of this battery. And this clears the myth. I'll come back to that. All this was done in the year 17th century. Nobody had an iota of knowledge about electron, because these came out. Electron was discovered only in 1896 by J.J. Thomson. So before that, we used to think that there are some positive charges which move. So the concept was that the positive charge always moves from the positive terminal to the negative terminal. And that was taken as the conventional direction of electric current. Circuits were designed like that. But come 1896, you are now coming up a different way. Whole your life, you know that on green light, you're supposed to move, red light, you're supposed to stop. But somebody said, it is always that on red light, you should move. But they're not now ready to change it, because there'll be huge accidents. So they said, this truth cannot be discarded. But with this truth, we can't proceed, because everything we have already written. So they gave name to another current, which is known as the electron current. And believe me, even if you're studying what you call electrical engineering, you'll never study electron current. And the electron current is the actual current which moves from negative to positive side. And what you design and how you study is known as the conventional direction of current. That we call as the conventional direction. And this is always considered with a positive charge, so it moves from positive to negative. So this is what is I all about, right? So when you in grade 10 used to study about whether it's an electron moving or a positive charge moving, do you think the electron should just go on a ORR type of a highway? No, there will be many positive charges in between. So the electron will have a collision motion, which is a random collision motion, and will also have a steady speed, right? And will also have a steady speed. This steady speed is contributed by F equal to QE, accelerated. The acceleration portion is again nullified here. And ultimately, combination of both is known as a drift. And we see the electrons drifting from this side to the other. Drift speed is the average speed of electrons as they flow in a conductor when its ends are maintained with a potential difference. Drift speed is the average speed. Average speed with which, or average velocity of the electrons due to the electric field, created in a conductor when its ends are maintained with a steady potential difference. Is this getting clear now? I have a conductor and the ends of the conductor are being maintained with a steady potential difference. So look here. This is a conductor. Its ends are maintained with a steady potential difference. This will now create an electric field. This creates an electric field inside the conductor, which is now contradicting to your electrostatics you studied. There is no electric field inside. Yes, that is when you are steady. But when you are applying a voltage, the electric field will be created in the conductor. And the electrons will be moving opposite direction because they are the charge carriers. Or you can think positive charges are moving in this direction. But no, we'll study with electrons. So my electrons, when they sense this electric field, they sense a force which is QE. But a force will always bring acceleration in you. But you're not supposed to have acceleration because you're supposed to have a steady current. So how do you nullify the acceleration? The electrons are not going to have a very cool path to go. They will have random collisions in either direction and also the steady flow created. As a result, combination of both will give them a drift. We don't say drift flow, drift itself is drift. You now know all these chapri car walas do that drift stunt with reels. You see, it's a drift. The car is not moving, the car drifts. That's all. So that's called drift. And the drift velocity is the average velocity under the influence of this electric field, which was created in the conductor when the ends of the conductor was maintained at a steady potential difference. Are we fine? So if somebody now asks you in this, what is the role of the battery? The role of the battery is to create the steady potential difference. A battery, it does not generate electron. The number of charge count carriers are same. A battery is an electron pump. A battery is an electron pump. Have you seen, there are, like when you do that merry-go-round, children are playing, there will be one teacher on this side. Whenever a kid comes this side, yeah, go run. She's the battery. She's not producing kids out there. She's just pumping the kids so that the kids keep on having the motion. And the current keeps flowing. ठीक है ना? अच्छा. Suppose when we study alternating current, we will also study this. Suppose my current was a function of time. In first second, we are having 5 coulombs which went away. In second, 7 coulombs went away. Third second, some 9 coulombs, 4 coulombs. So current is no more steady. So my graph has become what now? A curve sort of a thing. In that case, how should I define current? So in that case, I define what is known as instantaneous current. Current at a particular instant, I at an instant t is given by the limit of delta t tending to 0, delta q over delta t for a very small instant. That is instantaneous current. As I told you, how to check instantaneous in differential equation calculus. Look, delta t was very big. Delta q's are going. But you reduce delta t, then this span has been reduced. Delta q, dq. That is ultimately instantaneous current. And so instantaneous current, this thing is written as dq over dt. This we will see later when we say alternating current. We'll get to know. Is this much fine? Okay. Should I give you a brief idea? We'll just briefly discuss a little bit Ohm's law, just briefly, but we'll do it from next chapter, next class onwards. Our next discussion topic would be Ohm's law. But how much is the time left? Very less. If I start now, let's do it in next class, because if you derive, it will 4 minutes won't be sufficient, because now, but let's go on a grade 10 concept. What does Ohm's law tell you about? So Ohm was the name of the person. So he did some experiments. Okay, that's a brief idea, and we will continue the discussion from here. He did some experiments, and he took a sample of conductors, and he found that in majority of these conductors, the current flowing is directly proportional to the voltage. How much voltage you apply, same amount of current flows. Okay, if you have slight bit of doubt, then let's understand this diagram once again. A current is a flow of a charge. This is the fellow Q who wants to go inside it. But every time what will happen, there will be one brat sitting out here and smiling, and he will choke this conductor. He's basically the resistance. And this fellow won't be able to, Mommy, I can't go. And his mom will be sitting out here wearing big heels and will kick him. That's not voltage. The more voltage you give, the more the current has to go. This is the simple analogy. Voltage provides the kick, current wants to go, resistance will strangulate. resistance will strangle it. And resistance is a ratio. Resistance. Does resistance change? Yes, resistance changes because the resistance is a ratio. In grade 10, you learned V by I is equal to R. You tweak these two, you are changing. Then, sir, is there some property in this conductor which does not change? Resistivity. Resistivity. This is material specific. So 2 more minutes, again our grade 10 example. There is a child who is right now in grade, say in 6th or 7th year of his life. Stubborn or not, some bit of stubbornness is there. Take the child back on his time scale. Someday there is the zygote of this child, right? And that day itself, the DNA mapping of the child was done. We have a character of this child called stubbornness. Stubbornness. This stubbornness was defined on that day in the DNA of the child. Stubbornness is resistivity. Have you understood? No matter if the child becomes an adult out here also and you take out one cell of his body, the quotient of stubbornness is same as it was in his zygote. But depending on the structure of his body, his disobedience factor will keep on changing. When he was a child, he was less disobedient. He's programmed to be stubborn. Have you understood? And just imagine that if you are more bulky, you will be more stubborn. Just like inertia. A bull does not get up even if you say, hey, get up. But a rabbit is supposed to get up. Resistivity of a material is always fixed. The geometry of the material that you take will control a property which is known as resistance. Same copper wire, if you make it very, very thick, resistance is inversely proportional to area. So you have more thicker conductors. Like we want to run ovens, we want to run ACs. Our wires are this thick. Lot of current is supposed to go. This fellow should be made quiet. Can we change the resistivity of copper? No, from the born of birth of copper, it's same. Tweak the geometry, make it thicker. So more current can go. If you see all 16 ampere plug sockets you have. So we can't change this. All these we will study in next class. This is just to bring your thought process back from grade 10 to grade 12. Maybe you will study some more equations now. And Ohm said that this was seen. And if this was seen, then these conductors were known as ohmic conductors. And while you defined this, you said temperature and other physical properties remaining unchanged. So you were very, very crucial. You said that don't tweak the geometry. If you tweak the geometry, and then he said that V upon I is a ratio which is known as R. R is R as long as the geometry or the temperature is not changed. Therefore, whenever you define Ohm's law, you have to keep that temperature and other physical things remaining constant. So, sir, I want to design something where the resistance should be low. I will take care of the geometry. So that I'll design such a geometry such that resistance low. Do you want me to take some more good things? Sir, I want to have good crops. I'll take care of all fertilizers and good soil. You want me to take care of anything? I'll say, pick a good seed also. Pick a good seed. Pick the material whose resistivity is low. And then you are taking all care. So somebody says, if you take a full cream milk, you'll get more good sweets. But same idea. Getting a little bit hang of it. The rest of this we'll discuss next class, okay? Ohm's law and all. Fine. Right.